Hello and welcome back to another lesson of Logos and Letters. My name is Liam and let's continue on. So just refreshing the sentence before, it says sort of starts up here. So if we want to start here, Hosper to lukon udangar allo saimanai to lukon alae poion. So something like white is a quality, and it just only ever signifies something as white. And there are many things that are only signifying a quality. And you have things like the secondary substances, which are on the most part referring to something qualitative about the substance itself, not just the physical body and other things like that. Todeidos kaetogenos periusion to poion aphorisdai. So it is defining. So the secondary substances like species and genus are certainly defining each of those things, like man or animal or horse, kangaroo, okay, all these things, and it's doing so by in a qualitative measure, right? So it relates to this sentence that he set up here. Okay, so when we address something, we address it according to the form it has, and the form it has is there as a result of a quality of its substance, right? So this sort of feeds into that in a way. So you address something as a kangaroo. You see a kangaroo in a tree, and you don't know that it's a tree kangaroo, but you just call it, hey, look, isn't that a kangaroo in the tree? Perhaps you're in the Daintree rainforest, and someone you're with looks up at the tree in the distance, and you go, oh my god, yeah, that does look like a kangaroo. And you notice, and you've just seen a tree kangaroo for the first time in Daintree rainforest, right? The reason why you thought it was a kangaroo in the first place is because these secondary substances that we have and that the kangaroo has is informing, right? Informing. So iron forming that particular substance, and the, if you will, kangaroo-ness is evident to you, is visible to you. All right, it's a qualitative thing that is defining, setting a boundary around. Okay, so you don't look up at this tree kangaroo for the first time. You've just spotted it there in the canopy, and you don't go, oh, is that a big rat? I think maybe you could say, is that a big rat? Or you go, is that some weird cat? No, you've seen a kangaroo before, whether it's real or a drawing or a cartoon, and you say to yourself, hey, there's something substantially kangaroo about that thing in the tree there, right? So this is a explanation of that. There's an explanation of why, and again, some people would want me to bring genetics and DNA and RNA into this conversation, but not just yet. So the genus and the form does that. In the species, both do that, and that's why we can address something in that way. We can address any sort of man as a man. Okay, we can look at. You can say, oh, look at those. All of mankind, has the same sort of form. We have our 2 legs and 2 arms, and we have our head and our shoulders and all these things. There's humanness about us all, and it can't be taken away because it's a substance. So no matter how poor or rich you are, you're equally substance, and you're equally human, right? Accidents don't make you more or less human, okay? And that's why, according to your form, we can address you as such, no matter what. And let's continue on with this. Epipleion de toi genai toi aidai ton aphorismon. So aphorisdai, aphorismon, poiaidai is made, is created, is done. So a boundary setting, something definable, is made in the most cases according to or with the genus and the species. So epipleion is right here speaking of many different things. So just as an example, hogar zdoion aipon epipleion perilambanai e hoton anthropon. So many things can be referred to by the genus or by the species, all right? And when we refer to it, we are making a definition. So we are setting a boundary. So you've got all these animals here, right? In this circle are all the animals, okay? If you speak according to a species, you just cut a sliver of them off, okay? And you set a boundary between these and all the others. Or in a better way, so you got animals, you speak of a species, you just speak of this smaller circle, okay? And you're setting a boundary, right? Let's continue. So as we set these boundaries, it's important to recognize that the genus does more so than the species, okay? Why? Because it's higher up the chain of predication. And if it's higher up the chain of predication, it has less predicates, right? So it's more general. It has less predicates, and then the species is lower down and it has more predicates, only contains fewer things than what's in the genus, okay? So if you want to know how that plays out, the word animal has more subjects that it can refer to than the word kangaroo, right? And once you say kangaroo, it's more of a definable, knowable word. And why? Because it has its differentia, which is separating it one thing from the other. So being a macropod is different to being a common rat, okay? So some kangaroos might look like a rat to you, right? So let's look at a kangaroo like this. This might look like a rat, but look, it's a macropod. It's got these big old feet, right, which it bounds around on, right, really quickly. You can really hustle with these huge feet, macropod, right? So it's not a rat. It looks like a rat, but if you look closer, you'd see that it's not. And that's its kangaroo-ness in forming it, changing the shape of it, making it appear different. Right, so if you only saw it standing up to its waist in grass, in long grass, you'd say, oh, look at that rat, it's standing up on its back feet. But if it was standing here in this sort of terrain, you'd go, oh, what is that? Is that a type of rat? And then you would see its massive feet and you go, oh no, it's a type of kangaroo, all right? Kangaroo mouse, you might call it, right? So the differentia is making it more specific, making it come lower down on the chain of predication. And if you refer to something by the genus, you're referring to more things, right? Hogar zdoion ipon epipleion. So animal is spoken of more things. Perilambanai lambanai e hoton anthropon. So it speaks to more things than man, the word man. I think that's clear by now. And this word's interesting, perilambanai. So literally means, so around, taking around. Lambanai means it takes, and peri means around. So you can conceive of that word literally if you say a word, right? And maybe it's, let's do a different one now. Let's say, let's see if something just comes up. Let's say human, all right, man, okay? When you say this word, there are so many things that it relates to, right? But if you say animal, right, there are far more things around it that it can take up, okay? So if you say animal, it could be Komodo dragon, could be shark, could be eagle, could be octopus, cuttlefish, it could be lion, seal, orca, everything, okay? But men, there are fewer things it can take up. And this is for many reasons that we've already discussed, but these are the fine points that he's getting to. And these rules work for intellectual concepts as well. So if you say Christian, all right, Christian is a big term. There are many more things that it could pick up. So if you say the word Christian, it could refer to an Anglican or a Methodist or a Protestant. It could refer to a Jehovah's Witness, a Mormon, okay, so a Unitarian. But if you say a Protestant, that refers to fewer things, okay? So Protestant can refer to Anglican or Lutheran. Can it? I'm not sure. There is. I always get confused between the Protestant denominations. There's a lot of them, so please forgive me. So every time I say one, I feel doubt. I feel doubt about it because there's just so many, and I think I'm messing them up. So anyway, if you say Catholic, okay, there are different types of Catholic. So there are Coptic, there are even Orthodox Catholics, there are Roman Catholics, there are Assyrian Catholics, okay. I bet you I'm missing one that's going to annoy people. What's one more type of Catholic? It's probably Chaldean, okay. So I'll probably leave that there. And other intellectual topics that these rules can relate to would be things like knowledge and things like that. So if this man has great bushcraft, we can apply these knowledge to bushcraft when we think about the species and the genus that bushcraft belongs to. All right, so these can apply not just to physical things that we can sense with our sight, our hearing, our touch, our taste, our smell, but also to things that we can conceptually organize and identify. So we'll leave that there. This lesson has, if you can take away from this lesson the differences between what a primary substance and a secondary substance is, if you can identify the features between the two, that is going to set you up for further study about the natures of Christ, about the natures of God. All right, about, well, God, it's God himself. It's going to set you up for the study of how angels can be possible, how we can explain them. It can set you up for the study of even how fallen angels are possible, how we can study them. It can set you up for the study of different types of Christians and denominations and all these sorts of things by using the same ideas. So if you can take away those things, and if you can also take away the fact that a secondary substance describe the primary substance in a qualitative way, that'll go a very long way. Okay, that'll go a very long way. And yeah, thank you for your time as always. My name is Liam. Si semper fortis in opere tuo, and I will see you next time.